everyone, and welcome to another video on here where I'm going over some of the ships I like in this game. And today we're looking at the Tier 10 Dutch destroyer, the Tromp. You can get the Tromp for coal, since they normalized all the prices of the Tier 10s. It is currently priced at 260,000 coal, and I can say without a doubt it is 100% worth it. This ship is probably overall my favorite ship in the game in terms of how fun it is, and it is just such a comfortable ship to play. Starting off, let's go over some of the features of the ship. So your conceal on this thing is very, very good for what it's got. It's got 5.9, so you're pretty standard for destroyers. You'll outspot most of the big gunboats, which is good. And you have pretty good HP, around 30,000, depending on what you're running flag and if you're running survivability expert or not. And the main claim to fame of the destroyer is, of course, the airstrikes, as is common with most of the Dutch ships in this game. Tromp has a pretty fast airstrike where you can click on a spot and the planes will have the bombs dropped on that spot in 12 seconds. It makes leading ships significantly easier compared to something like Golden Lu or PVO, where you have to lead up. Well, PVO you have to wait 17 seconds before, so requires a lot more thinking power. But meanwhile, with Tromp, you can just aim a little bit in front of where they're going. Maybe if they're turning, count for that. It is significantly easier, and you will get much more bomb hits as compared to the other cruisers. This airstrike goes out to 12 kilometers, meaning you can comfortably play within your detection and bomb some ships. This ship is very good at trolling battleships. You are so good. There's no ship in this game that procs Witherer like Tromp. You can just so easily set fires on ships, and if they DCP, you wait for their DCP to run out, you send more planes at that thing, and you get 2 permafires almost at worst, if not 3. You also have torpedoes that have really good angles and reload really fast, although it's only tubes of 3, so you have to be a bit better at leading, but you get them so quickly it's almost cheating. You get a lot of floods and fires, and if you're running Conrad, which is like they looked at Tromp and were like, what's the best commander we can possibly make? Every 50,000 damage you get, you do more damage. If you get Witherer, you get better reload on your guns and airstrikes. And if you're playing well, if you're dropping your airstrikes pretty well, you're getting Witherer within 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Especially if you get some good torpedo hits and get permafloods, you'll get Witherer like nobody's business. It's insane. So well, if you get the 50 bomb hits, which is like 2 or 3 good airstrikes, you get an extra airstrike, so you can hold up to 3 as opposed to the normal 2. Alright, let's get on to my build now. So basically for the equipment, you can just run the recommended. If you wanted to, you could run engine boost, because this thing's engine boost is really good. If you want to open water and try to set fires with your main gun, it's very safe to do so. You have an emergency engine boost, so it doesn't last all too long, but you go a lot faster, and you can get some good jukes going in, and you can start fires on ships at long range. The main decision you could make is, instead of running reload, you could take the range. But I think that's a bit overkill, especially since I take range, the 4-point range mod, to take my range out to 15.9. If you run range mod on top of that, you get like, I think it's like 18 kilometers or something, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I never find myself shooting that far anyway. And even if I am, I feel like I wouldn't be hitting most of my shots at that point, and I think the reload is worth it. If you're taking reload, your DPM is ever so slightly below Ragnar. So if you've played Ragnar, it's pretty comparable to that. Actually, I'm pretty sure looking at it, its DPM is almost exactly the same as Hull's, except you don't obviously have the improved AP pen and angle. But DPM wise with HE, it's basically the same as Hull. going on to the commander. This is what I run. I showed a bit earlier looking at the skills. You could run Demolition Expert if you really wanted to, because Conrad has it improved, but I just don't think it's worth the points when you start fires so much already. And I just run Last Stand instead, because I don't want to be dead in the water if I get my engine or rudder kicked out. As for the rest of it, Conceal is pretty standard, Adrenaline Rush is pretty standard, and Survivability is pretty standard. Right here, you could run... Instead of range, you can run Fearless Brawler if you really like trying to open water and you just want more reload and you don't care for the range, you can go for that. I really like the range because when you have 15-9 kilometers, it's pretty comfortable if you want to set fires on a battleship or a cruiser that's far away. You can do it a lot more safely at that distance because you have a lot less risk of getting shot at that much further. You have a lot more time to react. There's a lot more freedom you have in whether you slow down or turn, and I think the extra range is worth it. And you can also just, if someone's out of your airstrike range and you want to get fires on them anyway, you have the range to do so. But if you like playing really close, or if you find yourself engaging with destroyers a lot, Fearless is pretty cool as well. Running reload, I almost think, is the correct decision. If you want to be a little rat and just stay dark for the entirety of the game, then I guess you could run Swift and Silence and the torpedo reload skill for just simply being dark and just trolling ships with your torpedoes and airstrikes the whole game. But I think the guns provide a lot of util, so I like partially building for the guns. So that's about all I have to talk about. I guess for signals, you just make sure you take the HP, if anything. Taking the Flood is pretty nice. But the ship's pretty fine without signals, but HP is always nice to have. So for the upcoming games, I wanted to try something new, as opposed to last time. See what I like more. So last time I played 2 games live and gave my thoughts as I was doing them, but this time I have 2 replays that I played. These are just 2 back-to-back games that I thought I showed the capabilities of the ship pretty well. So I'm going to go over what I was thinking when I was playing them, and I want to see if I like this format more, or if any of you guys like this format more as compared to playing it live. So that's all I have to say. I'll see you in the games. Alright, so here we are in the first game on Faroe Islands. Pretty awkward map I'm not the hugest fan of, but it's whatever. So, looking at this right here, I'm worried about what destroyers they have and what I might run into. So I noticed the Lucian and Tromp div, and I noticed that I'm on a flank with another destroyer with me, so chances are I'm going to be running into that Lucian and Tromp. Also notice that they're in a div with an Utrecht, so I try to make sure I am a little bit careful because I don't want to get caught out with an Utrecht just trying to absolutely destroy me. So my main thought right here is I either want to get open water, like down here, kiting out, seeing if there's any ships there, or I want to be behind this rock and airstrike and maybe shoot some of my guns at anything trying to push up. During this match, I made the decision of going behind the rock because it just felt safer knowing that there was going to be those 2 destroyers at any moment. So here you can see the angles on the torps are pretty good. They go up to 12 kilometers, so same range as your airstrike, so you basically have that same net of an area. I want to say anything within your 12 kilometers is like, it's in the danger zone, if you will. So here I'm just trying to go up, probe the area. I see that Tromp is in fact here, and he is airstriking our Ushikov. Make sure I turn off my AA because I don't want them seeing my guns shooting. I must have had them on, getting dropped from a carrier whenever last time I'd been playing. And here we have the Utrecht, and here's when I make the decision that, okay, I'm not going to sit in the open here, I'm going to get behind this island. Especially since Lucian's there as well, opening up against those 2 right there, I'd be dead in seconds. So I notice this Louisiana is stuck in, and I see that Tromp ate 2 of those torpedoes and has taken 21,000, so that means wherever Tromp ends up showing, he's gonna have probably around 9,000 health left. Right now, I'm just mainly worried about the solution, and I want to get in a spot that would be safe for me to start either waiting for this Louisiana to get within 12 kilometers, or I can get behind this rock and start shooting and fishing for fires. Throw some more torpedoes back. You notice that they come back in a minute 10. So you get these things pretty fast. Now that I have myself behind the rock, I deemed it time to start shooting my guns, especially since Lucian wouldn't be spotting me. So I start fishing for fires on Louisiana. I can see that Venom is pushing up over there, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on the minimap, seeing if Venom runs into any trouble, if I need to help out over on the right to try and cap C. But right now, it seems to not be a problem, so I'm just shooting at Louisiana. Once he gets a little bit closer, I can start throwing airstrikes at him, aim a little bit in front. You can see how fast the airstrike gets there. So you see, they can't quite pen the deck, and we already got a fire with the guns, so no fires from the airstrikes, but go ahead and send another one at them, and where the fire damage is just ticking. So right here, I did in fact notice that Tromp had been spotted, but I noticed that looking at my HUD, I can see his health is really low, and that I had faith that Venom would either be able to get away, or if push came to shove, he would be able to deal with him. So I didn't quite put my attention over there yet, especially the fact that Minnow is there as well. So I see the Louisiana DCP'd, and I try to fish for a permafire. Just going for different parts of the ship, trying to get a fire, and as he's turning out, try to lead a little bit. So here's Tromp is spotted again. I didn't quite realize at the time that he was actually in my range. I thought he was behind the island and I wouldn't be able to get shots at him. But I see he comes forward a little bit more, and they just help out Venom and Minnow, and this Tromp will fall. So unfortunately, if you're looking at the map, we just lost our Kleber, our Z-42 at the other flank. The other flank is falling apart, and we already have a shit disadvantage. Now that Tromp is dead and Louisiana dies, my main plan is to start going towards the mid-more, either try to contest C or deal with the Lucian. But right now, I could already tell this match was just looking pretty grim. We're 5 minutes in and we've already lost 5 ships, so it just wasn't looking very good. I tried to Torp, see maybe Lucian's hitting around in the area, just some Torp sending out for love of the game. I see Takahashi's coming in, doing the sail in an unwavering straight line challenge, so just send an airstrike at him. Some of these more maneuverable cruisers can be a little bit hard to airstrike. Like, see this Utrecht, for example, I almost don't even want to try, because sure, the airstrikes are fast, but he can move a lot in a short time, and I feel like my airstrikes would be more suited for hitting a target that isn't moving quite as much. Like, for example, a Takahashi at half speed, only going in a straight line. Just trying to get my 50 bomb hits, get a third airstrike, and get fires for proc. And there, as you see, we get the 50k damage, so we do ever so slightly more damage with our guns and airstrikes, and now that I hit the bomb hits, we have a third airstrike. So I see him detected for a second, which means that Lucian must have been just on the edge of my detection. Now, I would have engaged with Lucian sooner, but I was worried about Takahashi shooting at me and the Utrecht shooting me, so I wait just a little bit longer, seeing if this, if the Ohio and a gear could take care of Takahashi, and as soon as he would die, I would start shooting at the Lucian. So you're just trying to kill this Takahashi as quickly as possible, because I don't want to deal with a Takahashi, Utrecht, and Lucian, but I'm okay with taking on 2 of them. So around this time, I realized the Takahashi's low enough where I can confirm this kill, and Gear gets him anyway, so now it's pretty safe to just kill this Lucian. Do have a bit of bad aim moments, and I notice Utrecht's not even worried about me at all, so it's pretty safe to kill Lucian. So you can see the damage per salvo is actually pretty good. Like, that salvo didn't hit all the shells, but it's still getting, like, that's a, with saturation, that's like 20, that was 2600. Like, you get pretty good damage per salvo. This thing is pretty good at hunting destroyers if you want to play it like that. And unlike the cruisers, the Dutch cruisers, you actually have a pretty good chance, if you wanted to airstrike the destroyers. And these airstrikes absolutely slap destroyers if you can get a good strike. So unfortunately here I noticed that A fell so hard and B fell so hard that it's just a matter of time before they collapse. And I just try to, well, I take a Hail Mary shot at Ushikov in the chance that he got a fire, but right here I'm just trying to see if I can get sight on the Yamato or Adatara coming through B, see if I can kill either of them, or I see that Jaeger is there. Jaeger's probably pretty close, so I'm getting prepared to destroy that Jaeger if he does dare show up, which in fact he does. So despite winning our cap, we would, if our team held out a little longer at A and B, we could have capped C and started collapsing down on them. But unfortunately, that's just not how it went, and we have to watch slowly as the enemy team slowly crumbles. Here's Jaeger. And just another example of damage per salvo. Like, that's just a 4,000 salvo on this Jaeger. And in between salvos, I'm just gonna throw an airstrike at Yamato because you have a bit of like more APM. Since your reload's longer, you have more time to do things. I will eat a Jaeger Torp, but it's a Jaeger Torp, so it's not the end of the world. And Jaeger dies. And just go dark in a second and kind of go back to airstriking this battleship. So, unfortunately, this doesn't have much impact on the match because it's already lost. But if you notice that this Yamato, I think, started at 70,000 when we first ran into him, and we can see how quickly we can turn that 70,000 into 0 because of just cycling airstrikes and torpedoes. A battleship getting stuck into this is just the worst experience for a battleship to have. You just get fires all the time, and if you're hitting your torps, you're getting floods all the time. So when I look at the end of the match scoreboard, I'll take a gander at the Yamato, just to see how much damage we did this time. Just some good old-fashioned damage farming. If I got a bit more damage, this easily could have been a Witherer game as well. Like, you can see that he's just taking down with those 2 fires. And he's not long for this world. And Lucian's got a bit of choice words in chat. But World of Warship player is going to be toxic. What are you going to do? There's the Confederate. And now, it's just a matter of time. The match is about to end. I just realized, well, I'm not going to waste my time, any of these guys' time. I'm going to start shooting pretty soon here. Just be like, alright, let me just get some fires and they can kill me. I just want to go to the next match by this point. And yeah, Schlieffen's gone. It's just me in the back. Only a matter of time. Get another fire. Boom, damage, yeah, there we go. So, funnily enough, the Yamato will, in fact, burn out from this fire and this airstrike. So we do get this kill and damage. You see we get 2 fires right there. He already had a fire on him, and that airstrike dropping 2 more on him. It's just insane. So fast forward a little bit, nothing else interesting happens. Yamato tries to out-healing the damage, and he dies right as the match ends. And we finish with 150,000 around. So let me check real quick just how much damage did to that Yamato. Yeah, 60,000 right there. And we see he did a lot to Tromp as well because he ate the torpedoes. So looking at the scoreboard, we do place pretty high on the team compared to second place just because got to spread a lot of damage around, and we got Confederate, so kind of was able to take control of our flank really quickly, but unfortunately it just wasn't in the cards, and the rest of the team fell apart at the other end. So now I'm going to go into the second game, and that game is going to be a lot more fun to watch, I hope. So see you in a second. All right, here we are on map 2 on Atlantic. On the C flank, I'm notorious for getting stuck on this C flank and dying. On both sides of this map, I absolutely hate this flank. I don't know, it just feels so claustrophobic. But so knowing how I end up suffering on this flank, my main game plan right here is to sit around this area and just try to prevent other people from getting in the cap. And if the stars align and we end up crushing them on the cap, I would probably reverse into the cap and then go towards mid. But this is just a flank I am not a fan of. But it is it's pretty safe, especially for a ship like this, because I can kind of sit really closely and use the islands as cover while airstriking and getting torpedoes in between the islands. So it's nice in that fact, but just not my cup of tea on this flank. So also noticing that I don't have a whole lot of support. We have 2 ships behind, but I do see Wisconsin coming over, so I have a bit of hope that this wouldn't collapse. And so I just get in position right here to start getting torpedoes out between the gaps to try and catch someone a little early coming in from the side. And we can see our sub dove straight into the cap to start getting some progress.
Enemy force detected.
And I wanted to start getting in position to see if there were any cruisers or battleships. Once again, torping the gap. And I hadn't seen anything yet, and I saw the sub was getting good progress on the cap, so I was getting a little bit closer, but I was still leaving myself a way out. If something came, I would turn out to the left and start getting out of there. Just cruising around, seeing if there's anything spotted. I noticed that the only other destroyer is a Shima, so there's a bit of a gap. Now, I would love to sit here and just absolutely go to town on this Shima, but as you can tell, as soon as I start shooting, there's a Minotaur right behind him, and the sub starts trying to get me.
Torpedoes to starboard.
The Shima, fortunately, ever so gracefully gave me a little bit of a smoke screen, so I don't get spotted by the Minotaur. And I notice he's just reversing, and he's probably going to accelerate forward, so I drop the airstrike a little bit in front of him to see how that goes. I take a shot at the Vincent because he's within gun range, and I just could afford to. I noticed all these battleships over here, so I had a feeling that this Columbo would be in a good spot, and I wasn't too worried about Shima shooting me here because Inchin had just popped out from that island, so Shima's going to be spotted, and Inchin could pretty easily deal with Shima if he started getting any crazy ideas. So now that I've safely discovered, I see Shima, I know where Shima is, and he's currently going north away from me, so I had enough confidence to start turning back in and getting closer to the cap, knowing I wouldn't get spotted so quickly as I was before. And I can afford to go back and maybe put some more pressure on the cap and make sure he couldn't get it for free. I'm a bit wary about where these battleships are and where this minnow is, because I hadn't seen yet if this minnow was radar or smoke, and I had assumed he had been radar, so I didn't want to get too close over there. So I'm just being very hesitant because they clearly outnumbered us on this flank, and this Columbo/Libertad could just appear at any time. Bit of a slow start to this match, but I promise it gets a bit more exciting. So we see the Libertad here. He's pretty close, and he's within prime airstriking. He's got a pretty good angle. So the airstrike goes longer the way you're sending them forward. It's longer than it is wide. So when something's coming onto you or away from you directly, you'll get more bomb hits. Like you see that was almost a 30 bomb hit just because he was a little bit angled in. I try to torp him, and I try to get out a little bit because he is dangerously close to just surface detecting me when he would go around that spot. So I'm just going to torp if he peeks around that island. So if he does get close and try to spot me, he'll eat the torps and just try to get a flood. So I'm trying to see if the torps will hit, but he does slow down in time and is behind the island for a little longer, and I just decide drop another strike. So I'm trying to be as close as I can because I don't want to abandon the flank completely, but I didn't know if this Libertad was gonna do the classic and start turning in towards me and the Colombo, but as I see he starts going out, so it would have been okay if I stayed bowed in towards the flank. I didn't want to take the risk with the Libertad right there though. Especially being that close to Libertad is just not fun. So we have 2 permafires on him, and the damage will start ticking quite fast. See, he's taking 500 damage every tick or so, and I take the opportunity to start trying to see if I can do anything about the bungo closing in behind and just send some airstrikes out. Now I noticed that the battleships are starting to close in. We have a Colombo and Burgoyne just rapidly closing on mid, and we don't have much ships in the middle, so I noticed that we're getting destroyed at this flank. There's our 3 ships, and there's 3 battleships alone, and a destroyer in the middle. So I try to stay away from the flank a little bit because I thought they would collapse pretty soon, and my attention would be better directed at stopping this Colombo and Burgoyne from absolutely sending it down middle and just trying to get through to our team. Unfortunately, as soon as I get the strike on Colombo, he goes dark. So I'm trying to wait to see if he gets spotted again, and I'll just try to drop another airstrike on him. Now probably right here, I probably would have been better sending more stuff at bungo, but I had a bit of confidence that the torpedoes were going to hit bungo, so I didn't want to use an airstrike on it as well when Colombo and Burgoyne are doing what they're doing. And we do see that the Burgoyne dies, so I kind of wanted to group up with our team. We see we have A pretty down pat. I was trying to wait to see if Colombo would commit to going forward or backward, and I assumed he would go forward, but he kind of goes to a stop and reverse a little bit, so miss aim from me, and we see Burgoyne going down the middle, so I try to torp him. So I'm trying to deal with these 2 battleships in mid, and then our team will start coming towards the middle, and we'll have a big team fight, probably around where I am right here. And then I feel like getting that fight to be in our favor would be more important than trying to hold on to the C cap right now. So I see that Burgoyne is really starting to go towards this Libertad, and I had to do something to help this Libertad fast because we needed as many people as possible. See, we get a really good airstrike on him because the bombs just happen to pen that much in a 10k airstrike. So then I realized I need to help this Libertad now, so I start shooting. Realized that Colombo would probably start shooting at me now. I know Burger isn't because I can see he's shooting at the Libertad, so I hit the speed boost to be ready to dodge any Colombo salvos. I say that and I'm not even checking on Colombo, but I had enough faith that the average Colombo player couldn't hit it. So right here, I'm kind of aiming for superstructure, and I was also kind of aiming for a fire in the stern. We get that second fire in the middle, and just try to torp to see if he goes a lot much further, but he gets slapped, and we managed to kill this Burgoyne right before he would be able to get a ram on Libertad, thanks to our ships finally leaving A. So now that we have our team starting to collapse down from A towards mid, this Colombo is in a really bad spot. Do a bit of juke. This Colombo is not long for this world, considering we have 6 ships behind me ready to shoot at him. I just try to shoot, see if I can get any more damage. So I notice I'm spotted here, which means that either Shima got really close, or there we go. We see Vincent got pretty close. So now it's just the good old-fashioned full-on team fight. And I was getting ready to start bombing the St. Vincent, which was almost kind of an ideal target because the British battleships, love to let fires burn because they know they can heal it back. So I'm trying to just get Witherer as quickly as I could to start being able to shoot more and get more airstrikes out. So we'll drop him again. And I believe in a second I start opening up. Having a bit of banter with our Libertad about that Burgone. So you got 2 permafires on the Vincent, and now I see his guns are pointed over there, and Bungo's attention's elsewhere, so I start shooting now. And sending torps out. Now the farming begins. This is almost an ideal scenario where I'm kind of a bit back, and there's just a bunch of battleships coming in, and their focus is attended elsewhere, so we can torp them forever, airstrike forever, and shoot them forever. And just you'll see how quickly that damage starts racking up exponentially. So notice that we have 3 fires on the Vincent, so I switch my attention over to the Bungo. We get the other fire on St. Vincent, no fire protection. He has 4 fires on him. So start trying to get a fire on the Bungo, just to start spreading the love around. So right here, since he's coming bow in, I could probably drop an airstrike right around now, but I was more worried about just seeing if I could get a fire with the guns first and potentially save the airstrikes. If Vincent stayed alive, I would have dropped it on him, but Vincent dies, so I don't want to just sit with 3 airstrikes, so just sending out another airstrike, even though Bungo has fires on him already. So you see, Bungo's gonna go down. And there's the Witherer proc finally. So now we'll see that our gun reload has now gone down to 3.7, which is pretty crazy, noticing how much damage we do. So we have an Adalbert coming in. He's trying to 1v2 the Libertad and Vincent, so I just try to get some fires on him as well. See, it's a common theme, starting fires and whatever. He's not living, he's not very long. Maybe at full health, but the amount of damage you can output quickly with starting fires, especially since Adalbert is considered a super cruiser, so it gets battleship fires. It's gonna take a lot of damage really fast. So just shooting out the airstrikes, and at this point I realized, wow, a lot of our ships died really quickly. We're now in a, we were winning that fight pretty crazily to our teams are actually even right now. And our Libertad's around half HP and Adalbert's around half HP. So now we start realizing I want to get this Adalbert dead as soon as possible. It was okay if I lost some HP. I wanted him dead. I wanted to keep our Libertad alive. So get some damage in them there, and we do, in fact, keep Libertad alive. We take a bit of damage for it, but I'd rather our battleship have more HP than me, who can effectively stay dark, and my HP wouldn't matter if I'm dark. So now we have this Napoli coming in. They're not out of this match yet. With Shima staying dark, they could easily take out the Libertad, and I'll be stuck with a Napoli, but I feel like this is kind of a misplay from the Napoli going bow out, because he's still within pretty good range of me where I could just keep airstriking him even though he's going away. I know he was scared of the sub, but I think if he stayed in and tried to push, it would have created more pressure, but going out like this, kind of just rolled over and died. And we see that Shima actually gets a really good strike on the Libertad. So now I'm in a pretty awkward spot. I'm like, where's this Shima at? And I realized I think if Libertad died right here, Shima's probably out right here, and he probably got a pretty good cross torp. I wasn't paying attention on the map, so I didn't see where the torps must have came from. So it's at this point where I should probably get back to B, and we got to hold these caps. Because if Shima can hold the caps, our points are actually fairly equal. So if they got a second cap, they could win on points, and Napoli could sit behind. If Napoli sat behind this rock, our sub would have such a hard time doing anything about this cap. But as we'll see in a second, Napoli comes back around, and I can kill him for free. So I'm headed towards this cap. My thought is that Shima's going to get this cap, and then he's going to go to A, and I'm going to retake B right behind him, and ideally the sub would get C. But if Napoli held C, they would have had a lot stronger hold. And Shima could have gone to A, and I would have been stuck in a chase of going behind the Shima and getting the caps behind him. But we'll see Napoli almost just throws his life away and starts going in front. And I can just farm him for free. Sub keeps him spotted. He eats the Torps, we get a Confederate right there, and I can just keep airstriking this Napoli until he dies. And he will fall in a second. I didn't want to shoot because I was just a little worried about any potential disaster. Like, you know, he gets a good salvo off on me, and then Shima also keeps shooting at me. But he, now he's behind the island, so there's nothing he can do to me, and he's just about to die in a second. And there he goes. Now it's just the Shima, and the sub can safely get C, and I can hold B, so no matter what Shima does, we'll be able to hold 2 of the caps and just win on points. If we got an engagement with Shima, not only would we just beat a Shima normally, but with Witherer and this much AR, our reload is at 3.5, and we will in fact get an engagement with the Shima, and you will see just how crazy the reload and DPM on the ship can be in a good engagement. So I'm kind of just sitting around, waiting for the cap, just trying to get the Shima to engage because I felt like this match was pretty won, and it was time to save everyone's time and just get this match over with. So seeing both these 2 games, we end up being around, we get over 150,000 in both of these games. This ship can farm damage pretty crazily. So if you like farming, there you go. Here's an awesome ship for that. Fires add up quickly, especially if you can get some fires on battleships. You can feast, and you'll get those extra damages up to 150,000. Every 50,000 you get more damage, so your damage starts going up. The damage you can put out goes up exponentially. So we see that Shima's here in the cap. I noticed 1 rack goes by. My biggest fear is I end up eating a Shima Torp, and I just turbo throw, and Shima just takes the match. So I see the 1 rack go by. I wait to see if I notice a 2nd rack and a 3rd rack, and then
dead ahead.
I just am completely safe to do anything. So there's the 2nd rack. And momentarily, should see the 3rd rack. Yeah. So turn in, avoid that, and I shoot to get myself spotted to just be like, alright, let's just have this. So I hit the engine boost to get ready to dodge, and there's the Shima.
The ship is on fire.
Gets a good first salvo, but with the reload things like this, it's just, look how fast I can put out 2,000, 3,000 damage salvos. I get bow in as to not just show broadside. I just threw all my planes at him just in case he decided to slow down. He would have died. I stay bow on. We just simply out DPM him like crazy and kill him to take the match. And finish with 175,000 Witherer and Confederate. Let's see, we were placed on the team. That was a 2.2k base XP. I would have expected more, but it makes sense because most of our damage came from these battleships, which don't give you quite as much XP, but we did get some damage on the Napoli and Shima, and we still get a good amount of base XP. And Libertad just places right above us. But here we go. Those were my 2 matches. Overall, this ship it's just so comfy. You have a lot of freedom. Even if you don't want to use your guns, you can get away with being dark the entire game, being on a secret mission, just airstriking and sending out torpedoes. You can just purely be a rat that they will never be able to hunt down, and you can just continue trolling battleships. Or you can, if you want to make your guns to use, you can do that as well. It's pretty free form depending on the player, which is why I think it is so comfortable. And if you have coal, if you don't have Tromp, it's easily like one of the top coal ships you should get. It's if you have a coupon, use it on this. Coal, you just get coal from playing the game, and it's this was my first ship I spent coal on. And I've not regretted it even a tiny bit. It's just, I can't put into words how much I love this ship, and I can't recommend enough if you don't have the ship to try it. If you've tried it in the past and didn't like it, give it another shot. If you don't have Conrad, you should work on getting Conrad, because him alone makes the ship worth it. We'll see that replay reset here. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Let me know if you like the either live more or looking at replays more, if I was able to gather my thoughts better looking at something in the past, or if seeing what I did in real time made more sense. So, have a great day, afternoon, or night. I will see you next time.